R.I. presents
Sea people, mountain people, erosion. Continued last time. Ryoji falls down a cliff out of his own carelessness. But in that place, he finds a door in the dark. And when he was looking for a clue with both hands, something hit his fingertips. And when he searched for something, it felt like a handle, and he pushed and pulled it, but it didn't move at all. He remembered a different way, grabbed it with both hands and pulled it sideways, and a slightly open feel came through his hand, along with a small sound. Then he put his weight on the door and pulled it, and at the same time it clearly moved at the same time as the loud sound. The door was not a door that opened and closed by pushing, but a door that was pulled left and right to move. Sliding doors are a foul, he muttered, and it was hard to pull the handle, so he groped through the gaps in the open doors, put his hands in the gaps, stepped on his feet, used his weight to pull with all his might, and the door opened at the same time as the heavy sound. However, the light which had been expected did not come in. He was a little disappointed. But he opened the door to the point where his body could pass through, and looked further into the back, but it was still darkness. Walking in the dark is difficult without lighting. Even if he returns to the car, there are no lighting fixtures in his car. But when he got home here, he thought he wouldn't know when he would be able to come here next. However, if the dream is a reality, there is something behind it, and I should be able to go to a place with light. That thought erased the fear of his darkness and gave him the courage to move on. However, if I enter the darkness without planning, I will not be able to come back. So he remembered what he had seen in his dreams and how to conquer the maze that he had heard a long time ago, and decided to move forward with his left hand on the wall. The surroundings were completely dark, and he did not know what was ahead, and he went one step at a time and one step slowly while searching for scaffolding. When he started walking, he walked forward, feeling a slight light coming in from the direction he had entered. But before he knew it, the light was gone, and darkness and cool air enveloped his entire body. However, there was no uneasiness in his mind. And he wanted to know the answer ahead, and with that single mind, he proceeded with an adventure that could be called reckless. He moved forward slowly for a long time. Even though he was in the cold air, he was sweating a little and feeling tired, and he neglected to check his feet, and gradually his steps became faster. And he forgot something. As he went on for a while, he became sleepy from fatigue and distracted, and his actions became bold, and he walked without confirming his scaffolding. The next moment, his legs slipped and fell from his buttocks to the ground. He was startled and immediately tried to stand up, but the ground was wet and slippery, and it was downhill, and every time he moved, he slid down. This way, he couldn't do anything, so he had no choice but to start sliding slowly in a crouched posture. Only then did he realize that his vigilance had faded, and from the recoil he suddenly felt the fear of darkness. Then he descended carefully, slowly, concentrating his consciousness on his feet. Then, after descending to a certain extent, something cold seeped into his leg. It was, obviously, water. Water in the dark. With the presence of water, fear culminates at a stretch and tries to stop, but the ground is slippery with water, and it slides down only by the weight of the body. The coldness of the water exceeded the heel of the foot, and the cold feeling was transmitted to the knee. When he began to feel danger, the sliding movement slowed down and the water came below his knees and stopped. The moment he stopped, his heart was pounding and he took a big deep breath to try to calm him down somehow. Then he stood up and reflected, I forgot. He laughed bitterly at himself for forgetting that he had slipped down in his dream. He stopped moving on the spot and thought about what was ahead. It is very difficult to return to the wet slopes, and the exhaustion of physical strength is intense. But the presence of water is too scary to move forward. But I can't be in the same place here. So, as if to wield courage, he yelled and cheered, and with his left hand on the wall, he slowly began to move forward. As he walked for a while, the water that had been above his knees gradually decreased to the point where he could no longer feel any resistance or coldness in his legs. The air that he was feeling cold no longer felt so cold. But he had been walking for so long that fatigue, hunger, and most of all, being in the dark for so long that his thought circuits were paralyzed and he didn't know what he was walking for. The exhausted Ryoji stopped, sat down there, and fell asleep. Today's story ends. Videos are updated every Saturday. Please subscribe to this channel.
See you again.